Welcome back to Daytime Ottawa. Well, as you know, we continue to live in challenging times for many different reasons. Certainly coming out of the pandemic, we're starting to get back a sense of normalcy. But one of the things that's very interesting coming out of the pandemic in particular is workplace culture and how the workplace has changed so dramatically. And my next guest is going to speak on that. I am joined by Kristina Beauchesne. She is the founder of Common Ground Consulting Ottawa and a long-standing elementary educator as well. Welcome. Great to have you here, Kristina.
Thank you, Derek. Great to be here as well.
You've gone through some of your own changes. Why don't we start with that? Because I think all of us have felt that. What are some of the changes you felt yourself?
Absolutely. Well, first, Derek, I think it's important that I give you a little background about me first, because I don't like to think that we're always defined by our work.
Yes, agreed.
I think we're also defined by who we are as people. And so I am blessed with a wonderful family. I have two beautiful teenage children, 14 and 16. I have a fabulous husband, wonderful parents, and aunts and uncles. And my personal and life experiences have really propelled me to feel a deep fascination with interpersonal dynamics. So what makes people tick?
Right.
What makes people thrive? What makes people want to connect and engage meaningfully in our work environments? And so my role as an educator for 22 years has really allowed me to sort of, dig deep into that curiosity. And it's led me to do the work that I'm doing now with Common Ground Consulting.
It's fascinating you say it that, what you just said, because my father has always said to me that you want to be a who and not a what. Mm-hmm. And one of the questions you should ask somebody isn't necessarily when you meet them, what do you do, is really find out who they are. So this really speaks to something I've heard my entire life. So then, Common Ground Consulting, coming from that explanation you just said, tell me what the business is, what the services is.
Yeah, that's a great question, Derek. Thanks for asking. So the work that I do, I'm a culture and leadership development consultant.
Okay.
And so right now I'm working with small to medium-sized organizations to deepen engagement and meaningful connection within teams in order to essentially improve bottom line results. Because my philosophy is when you invest in people, greatness happens.
Right.
And it's about taking that time to invest. And so I offer a 3-part workshop series that I deliver to teams who are looking to deepen connection and engagement. Because when that happens, that's when the magic in cultures really thrive.
Right. Yeah, and I said off the top, I mean, the workplace has changed dramatically.
Yes.
How has that changed the workplace culture in your mind?
Well, I think what's happened, Derek, is that the pandemic has given people a real opportunity for pause and reflection. Right? Okay. And I think what's happening is that people have reevaluated what's important to them personally and professionally. And people are no longer willing to, to stick with the status quo, what once was. And
right.
We're learning to weave in, what's worked in the past, but also some lessons from the pandemic.
Is it difficult to convince businesses of that? Because some businesses are very traditionalist, right? Yes. I need people in the office to be able to look over their shoulder to make sure they did their full 8-hour day. Do we see some of that still? Is that still a challenge?
There is, but I think there's a real shift. And I think momentum is swinging. I think people are really realizing that things have to change because people are leaving, right? Top talent is leaving. And so it's enough for people to say, what's going on? How can we work with our people in order to get the best out of them? And in order to get the best out of people, you actually have to invest in them, right? And that means getting to know who they are as people, what do they value, what do they bring to the table, what makes them unique? Because our most basic need in humanity, right, is to feel seen, heard, appreciated, and valued.
Absolutely. So what are some of those tools then are perhaps missing from that toolbox for many business people?
Well, one aspect that's crucial to what I do is I do a deep dive into personal core values and organizational values.
Okay.
Because I don't think, we show up at work every day, which we all spend the majority of our day at work. But I think our conversations on so many levels are surface level conversations, right? Yeah. What are you doing after work today? What are you making for dinner? Where are the kids going for activities? And you don't really get a chance to know what people value. And when you know what people value, it deepens the connections. because people can learn to appreciate, oh, that's maybe why someone behaved like that, because that's more in alignment with their value.
Right.
And so right there, that, that meaningful connection is developed. And so I do a deep dive into personal values, and then we look at the values of an organization, right? So are your personal values in alignment with your organization?
Do you think those two often find themselves apart and they don't even realize it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's often a values clash or a values misalignment, right? In the sense that sometimes organizations have these values, right, that are on a wall, but staff don't actually know what they mean.
Right.
And so when you take the time to sort of look at, okay, are your personal values, are they in alignment with your organization? It really deepens someone's sense of purpose in what they do.
And you're right, Kristina, if you read it, if you go into, I don't know, maybe your office kitchen or whatever, and the values are there, and you don't see the people up here practicing those values, how meaningful are they even to you, right?
Absolutely. And it stems from the top, Derek, for sure. I mean, these values have to be modeled from the top. But my feeling is right now, that's such a heavy responsibility for leaders and for CEOs, that my feeling is that workplace culture is a shared responsibility, that it shouldn't fall on any one person.
Agreed.
It needs to fall on everybody. But if people aren't equipped with the right tools to figure out, well, how do we do that? Right? And so when you equip people with tools, just like we do in the classroom, when we equip children with the tools they need to be successful, that's when these beautiful classrooms are truly thriving. It's the same with workplace cultures. What adults need is the same as what children need.
I agree.
We are bigger versions.
Just as we're running out of time here, Kristina, I know you wanted to ask sort of viewers, what are kind of the two words to kind of describe a thriving culture, just to leave our viewers with sort of something in mind, right?
Yeah, I would invite people to think about two words that you have in your head that would describe a thriving culture. So if you think back to a place where you worked at one point or another, what word would describe that environment and why? Because I think if you can think about that, it really helps to articulate what's important to you.
Yeah, and I think more than ever, as you just described the services you offer and how you work with clients, it's such a great need right now, and appreciate your time today, Kristina.
Thanks for having me, Derek. I really appreciate it.
What would my two words be? I think feel valued and have fun, because I always like to have fun in my job. www.com, groundconsulting.com. That's com, C-O-M. We'll be right back after this.